Hi guys, welcome back to A Sacred Vedic Astrology. So today we're gonna unravel a very fascinating topic in Vedic astrology that is unique to the Vedic system. So we're gonna go into the Atmakaraka, or the sole purpose planet in the astrological chart. So when I first got into Vedic astrology, this is one of those aspects that I found so fascinating because it is unique to the Vedic system and the Vedic approach. And it is this branch of astrology also known as Gemini astrology, which is basically taking all the points of the chart, all the planets, and deciphering the highest degrees, the lowest degrees, and different degree points between. But we're really going to focus today on that highest degree planet, which is the Atmakaraka. So let us start a little bit with what the Atmakaraka means. So in Sanskrit, Atma is soul, right? And Karaka is indicator or significator. So when we put these two words together, it means the indication or the energy of the soul, right? It's the soul planet. Okay, so the sun is also Atma in Vedic astrology, right? That's like that soul energy, and the Atmakaraka is similar in the way that it's pointing us into a important direction of the life story, a constant theme throughout the life. What I find with the Atmakaraka more than anything is someone has a lot of themes that will unravel in connection to this planet, right? They're going to feel very called to the planetary energy of the Atmakaraka. So it's also important to note that the house that this planet sits in is really important and very telling, as well as how this planet is performing, right? So if someone has Venus Atmakaraka, but their Venus is debilitated, they might be called towards Venus, but they might also have some struggles with that energy as well too, because the planet is debilitated. Let's say someone has Venus in Virgo in the 6th house or the 8th house or the 12th house. That's very different than if someone has a Venus Atmakaraka exalted in the 1st house, right? Like, we have to understand there's so much more in-depth analysis to be done, but of course, I always talk about this. We're trying to take a very complex system of astrology and simplify it to a degree so people can learn and unravel certain aspects of the Vedic system. All right, so let us get into the Atmakaraka and how to find it in the chart, okay? So you want to look at all the different planets that exist in the chart, not Rahu, not Ketu. Some Vedic astrologers use the nodes, Rahu and Ketu, when they are analyzing this, but the way that I was trained was to just use the different planets. So that's what I stick to, that's what I use for my own practice. Different astrologers have different ways of doing this, okay? But that's what I find to work the best. Okay, so all the planets, but not Rahu and not Ketu, and of course not the outer planets, okay? So you look to your chart, you pull up your chart, and you need a chart that will show you the degrees of all the different planets, okay? So that's really important. You have to be able to see the degrees in the chart. And whatever planet has the highest degree points, that is the Atmakaraka. So let's say, 27 degree moon is someone's highest degree planet, then the moon is their Atmakaraka. Let's say someone has sun at 29 degrees, then the sun is the Atmakaraka if that is their highest degree point in the chart. Okay. And if you're using like a Vedic software, right? Like obviously if you're a professional, you're going to have a software system that you're using, it will usually calculate it for you and put it in the system somewhere. But if you don't have any sort of software, you're probably going to just look at your chart online and see the different degree points. Okay, so that's how to calculate it. So go find the highest degree in your chart, 0 degrees to 29 degrees of a sign, of a planet, of a house, and go do that and then come back to the video once you have that. And remember, not Rahu and not Ketu. That is just my personal practice and the way that I was trained. Okay. Different astrologers use different approaches. All right, so now let us go through the meaning of the Atmakaraka through different planets. All right, so let us start with the sun. And I have a little Google Doc that I have typed up, so I'm going to be looking at that. It might look like I'm staring at something back and forth. It's because I'm reading this document because I wanted to try to get my points out there. So let us start with the sun. So the sun, there is going to be an important theme in the life of identity, leadership, ego, confidence, and stepping into one's own sense of following their own path in this lifetime, right? The sun is going to show lessons of identity, ego, soul, sovereignty, stepping into your own autonomy, and perhaps a more leadership-based role at some point. So someone can be here to start their own business, work for themselves, or have a more creative sort of path, right? A lot of people with Sun Atmakaraka want to eventually start their own businesses, work for themselves. Maybe they do something that's connected to like business, leadership, being a leader to some degree, like that. Okay, and the thing about the Atmakaraka is it's always a theme, it's always a pull, but sometimes people feel uncomfortable going towards it as well too. Like you'll find that a lot of the times when someone has their Atmakaraka in the sun, or their sun is the Atmakaraka, they might feel like, okay, I want to be a leader, but it's uncomfortable. I don't really know how to get there, but I feel called to it. So you'll find that a lot with the Atmakaraka planets, that even though it's the soul calling, it's what someone is drawn to, they also have this like discomfort at times towards that planetary energy. So someone can want to be a leader, step into their confidence, step into their own more entrepreneurial sort of path, but they also might have difficulty getting there as well too. Okay, Sun Atmakaraka can also show themes of authority, the father. They can find that they're learning a lot of lessons. They have a soul sort of evolution that occurs around themes of the sun, which would be like male energy, leaders, bosses, the father. Okay. But it's really important for the Sun Atmakaraka to learn how to step into their own autonomy, their own sense of confidence and leadership in this life. All right. Okay, now let's move on to the moon. So the moon is going to show lessons around emotional depth, nurturing, creativity, women. I see a lot of times the moon Atmakaraka is in charts of those who work in some sort of field that's like a helping field, or a field of nurturing or guidance or something of that nature. I've seen it in charts of those who are like nurses, those who are healers, those who are very empathic in their life experience, their career, etc. So people with the moon Atmakaraka are learning so much about how to nurture, care for others, and be that very nurturing sort of energy. They might have some special connection to women because moon is a karaka, or an indication of women, so they might just like gel really well with women. They might find themselves surrounded with a lot of women like that with the moon Atmakaraka as well too. And their mother can also play a very important role in their life experience and their life story as well too. So they might feel drawn to the arts, helping, healing, creativity, and stepping into that more nurturing role is going to be really important for those with a moon Atmakaraka, right? Even if they don't have children themselves, they might feel like they're that natural mother, nurturer in this lifetime with that moon Atmakaraka. Okay, so this Atmakaraka is going to show themes of going towards healing and nurturing and helping and guiding is going to be really seen with this as well too. Okay. Can be very sensitive, can be a very emotional sort of Atmakaraka placement. Okay, let's move on to the Mars Atmakaraka. So Mars, someone is learning to master their anger, their courage, their drive, their ambition in this lifetime, right? There might be some connection to like physical fitness, sports, military law, justice. Definitely a lifetime of perseverance and resilience. So strength and physical energy, physical drive can be a very important theme here. I've seen this in charts of those who either work in fields of like physical fitness, health, I saw it once in a chart of someone who was in military a lot in his youth as well too. Mars Atmakaraka, we're going to see that Martian sort of theme come in, right? There's going to be something about like perseverance and strength and drive and ambition and pushing through the obstacles of life. I've seen that a lot with the Mars Atmakaraka. Someone might have some sort of, they might have some connection to justice, specifically with Mars Atmakaraka. So I've seen it in charts of those who like work with or are very connected to some sort of specific cause in this lifetime as well too. I won't get too specific with this because I try to everything that I discuss with clients very confidential. I've seen it in charts of those who have a very specific like traumatic experience, and then they end up connected to some group that they are a part of because of that, because they feel so like justice seeking towards a certain issue. Themes like that can really come about with the Mars Atmakaraka. They're here to fight for their beliefs, and they're here to be that warrior sort of energy and stand up for what they believe in, right? That's going to be that really strong Mars Atmakaraka. They might have something very specific that they feel like they want to fight for or stand up for in this lifetime. So there's like this justice aspect with Mars Atmakaraka that I've seen as well too. So justice and resilience can be really strong, and someone might really enjoy physical fitness. They might have some connection to working out, their physical energy. Themes like that can be very important with Mars Atmakaraka as well too. It's like that warrior sort of planet. But I would also say with Mars Atmakaraka, someone is learning how to deal with anger in a way that is healthy, and either it can be they attract like experiences where someone is like overly angry or they get overly angry. They have to learn how to develop anger in a healthy way as well too. Okay, let's go on to Mercury Atmakaraka. So Mercury Atmakaraka is going to show constant lessons in communication, expression. Writing can be connected to travel, technology, as well as siblings, because Mercury is a karaka of siblings as well. So Mercury Atmakaraka can show someone who is always learning. They're like the lifelong student. They're always learning, they're always communicating, they're always taking different courses, they're studying a vast array of different topics, right? Usually those who are like very mercurial in their chart or Mercury Atmakaraka, it's pretty rare for them to have just like one interest. They want to know about so many different things. They're interested in a lot of different topics. They have a lot of knowledge. They want to learn all sorts of different things in this lifetime. So Mercury Atmakaraka can be someone who's like that lifelong student and eventually even a teacher, or they like to teach others about their knowledge and wisdom as well too. This can also definitely give writers, someone who's interested in the written word as well, and they might have some special connection to like education, technology, writing, teaching, and travel. Okay. They also might have like some lesson around their sibling. Maybe they get closer to their sibling as they get older. There can also be themes of the siblings as well too. All right, Jupiter Atmakaraka is going to show a constant theme of wisdom, ethics, higher knowledge, spirituality, foreign lands, different cultures, luck and fortune can be important. So the Jupiter Atmakaraka would be a theme of Jupiter throughout someone's life, right? They might be very connected to traveling. They want to see the world. They want to experience different cultures. They might be very connected to some sort of philosophical, spiritual pursuit. Maybe they have a strong belief in all things spiritual. Maybe they want to go travel to a different country one day and take on some new teachings. And I do feel like with Jupiter Atmakaraka as well too, there is going to be that lucky sort of benefic influence. Obviously, we would have to analyze how their Jupiter is performing in their chart, but if Jupiter isn't like greatly afflicted, they're probably going to have some luck in this lifetime as well too, and there can be a lot of expansion with that Jupiter Atmakaraka. Now, they might also be learning lessons around indulgence or overindulgence with Jupiter Atmakaraka as well too. I feel like I forgot to mention this in my video about Jupiter and the blessings of Jupiter, but Jupiter is also indulgence, right? So if someone has too much Jupiterian influence, there is going to be a part of them that wants to overdo things at times as well too. So it's like someone with a strong Jupiter, if they enjoy something, they might go a little bit overboard with it. They might spend too much. It's very giving. Jupiter is like giving, expansion. It's very much about excess as well too. So a lot of Jupiter energy can be like excessive. So there's definitely need to watch out for that. And Jupiter Atmakaraka can have lessons around like excess and faith and trust as well too. Okay. Venus Atmakaraka. I love Venus Atmakaraka for people. So this is one about beauty and luxury and art and love and creativity, and it's a really, really nice Atmakaraka if someone has a well-placed Venus, and that's going to give a desire for someone to go towards beauty and the finer things in life and art and expression and drama, fashion, design, etc. They're going to just have this like really strong connection to Venus throughout their life. And Venus is also a karaka or an indicator of women as well too. So the Venus and the Moon Atmakaraka, they might be very connected to women specifically in this lifetime. Something can be very important for them there. They might work with women. They might feel very connected to like female empowerment, themes like that when we see karakas for women as the Atmakaraka or strong in someone's chart. Okay. So also money can be really important for Venus Atmakaraka. They might be learning a lot about how to make their own money, finances. That can be very important in someone's life as well too. Okay. Very artistic, very creative, very focused on the beauty of life with Venus. All right, now Saturn Atmakaraka. So Saturn Atmakaraka is one that I see in charts where someone has to either parent themselves from a young age or really grow up very quickly. That one never really fails. Like whenever I tell a client about that, they're always like, yes, that's exactly what happened. So there's some experience of the parental figures being like karmic, distant. There's something going on there. So they're learning about patience, responsibility, discipline, and they might feel very responsible from a very young age. With Saturn Atmakaraka, I see that very often. They have some experience of growing up very quickly or parenting themselves. So they might be distant or disconnected from some sort of family member or father-like authority figure. And they're here to develop their own sense of discipline and structure in this lifetime. So a lot of times, Saturn Atmakaraka people, like, there's these weird karmic lessons or experiences for them around structure and authority, and they're here to figure out like how they can be their own authority in a way that is not overly perhaps like nihilistic or full of doubt. I made another video about Saturn, how when Saturn is too strong in someone's chart, they always hold themselves back, and I see this very often with the Saturn Atmakaraka as well too, where someone holds themselves back a lot, they're insecure. They're always like, someone else is going to be better at this, like that. So you can watch my Saturn video and take those meanings to the Saturn Atmakaraka as well too. Saturn Atmakaraka people can have a lot of wisdom. They can be very wise, very reliable, very structured, very disciplined, and very focused when they set their mind to things as well too. So a lot of wisdom and a lot of growing up very quickly with the Saturn Atmakaraka is what I have found with that one. Okay. All right. So an example of how the Atmakaraka is playing out in real time is Addison Rae. So when I looked at her chart, Addison has Venus as her Atmakaraka. Okay. And her life is all about Venus, right? Her Venus also happens to be very strong. It's in a placement that Venus loves to be in. It's aspected by other planets as well too. So Addison Rae has a really strong Venus Atmakaraka, and her life is all about beauty, the arts, love, fashion, luxury, music, dance, drama, right? So Addison has really embodied that Venus Atmakaraka, right? For her, her whole life has been about Venus. It's been about the arts, luxury, women, beauty, all of it. So she's really, really embodied where the Atmakaraka planet is trying to pull her in this lifetime, right? I thought it'd be fun to throw in a little chart celebrity example there, because when I saw Addison Rae's chart, I was like, oh, okay, She is all about Venus, right? And that's her Atmakaraka planet. And again, it's important to note whether this planet is like well placed, exalted, debilitated, hit by a bunch of malefics, hit by benefics, etc. We'd have to do more in-depth analysis, but this is going to be a sort of basic consensus of the Atmakaraka through the different planetary energies. All right, and again, I want to emphasize the point that the Atmakaraka is here basically to show us what our soul is trying to develop or go towards in this lifetime. It's almost similar to Rahu in that way. Like, I know that might be a kind of strange comparison, but Rahu is the energy our soul is trying to get to, but sometimes it's uncomfortable or foreign in certain ways. With the Atmakaraka, it's like someone is trying to go there, they're trying to learn about that planet, they're trying to develop that planet, but it doesn't always mean that it comes so easily to someone. They're going to attract a lot of lessons and experiences around that planetary energy that are trying to guide them in that direction. Okay, for example, I'll throw in a little personal example, even though I gave a celebrity example. I have Mercury Atmakaraka in my chart, and my life is very focused on Mercury, learning, writing, teaching, education, but also to show you guys like how the Atmakaraka plays out. It's in my third house of schooling and education. I went to so many different schools when I was younger, and like I love to learn, but in a very non-traditional sort of way, right? So like I could study Vedic astrology for 7 hours a day and be happy, like the happiest I could ever be. But if I do traditional school, I'm like, I feel stuck. I'm like, get me out of here for a certain subject. So I never finished college because of that. I was like, I just know that I'm gonna start my own business and have a non-traditional career. So I never finished college, and I had some issues in schooling and different things, right? So even though I'm always called towards Mercury and I always want to learn and teach and write, and I've always written poetry my whole life, and I was always a creative writer when I was younger, right? That's Mercury in the third house. I also had some issues with schooling and education as well too. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it's our sole purpose planet. We're learning so many lessons around it, but it doesn't mean that it's like this easy path to get there. There can be a lot of karma, there can be a lot of lessons, there can be a lot of experiences that unravel around that planetary energy for us to grow and evolve as well too. So I thought that was an interesting way to understand the Atmakaraka. As like Mercury for me is always a theme, and I love to learn and travel and write and teach and write and read and all of the things, but also schooling was very mixed as well too. But it was always a theme, it was always there. So Mercury is always there for me. All right, so let me know what your guys' Atmakaraka planet is. You can also comment down the house as well too. That gives us a lot more reference and information. All right, and I thought this would be a really fun, fascinating video because I think the Atmakaraka and the Darakaraka, if you guys want a video on that as well too, let me know. That's the spouse indicator planet. It's something that is so unique to the Vedic system, right? It's a branch of astrology known as Gemini astrology, which is different, right? There's different branches, but I find it so useful in the Vedic astrological practice. Okay? So comment, like, and subscribe for more content coming soon, and let me know your Atmakaraka planet down below, and I try to respond to all the comments as much as I can. All right, I hope you guys have such a beautiful, blessed day, and we will talk soon. Bye, guys.